Hello everyone, this is part 7 of What If Naruto Had a Proper Teacher, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to see more comment down below. Team that afternoon. He told the team their new mission and their reactions were mixed. Naruto found the Toad Sage's training helpful, but he missed Kakashi-sensei. Sasuke knew Jiraiya was considered the most dangerous shinobi in Konoha, but Kakashi had proven to be an excellent sensei beyond his wildest expectations. Sakura, however, was thrilled. Not that she disliked Kakashi, not it was the mission itself she was in love with. To actually meet Tsunade-sama, the strongest kunoichi Konoha had ever produced, it was an amazing opportunity. Kakashi was talking again, bringing her out of her daydream. I know you will be with Jiraiya-sama, but stay on your guard. Konoha has suffered greatly and our enemies will likely be sniffing for weakness. Stay alert at all times, understood? Hi Kakashi-sensei, the three genin responded. Kakashi sparred with them and was impressed with their progress. Afterwards he told his team, use your time with Jiraiya wisely, you won't be able to train extensively with him since you will be traveling, but insist on at least some training. Kakashi looked from Naruto to Sasuke and then to Sakura. Jiraiya is a seal master. It would be wise if someone on the team learned the art of Fuinjutsu. Sakura asked, who should it be? Kakashi replied, I suggest all of you try your hand at it and whoever does the best should work on it. Fuinjutsu is annoying to me since it's more art than science. I have a basic understanding of all of the basic seals, but the more complex ones are beyond me. Kakashi elaborated, the higher order formula require more than a logical understanding of the process, you have to have the right touch, as my sensei described it. It had been a maddening experience for Kakashi, who had mastered everything else he tried to learn as a shinobi. Advanced Fuinjutsu didn't behave logically to Kakashi and he had been unable to become a seal master. He often wondered if it was latent bloodline ability like a Kekkei Genkai, and those who didn't have the bloodline could only progress so far. It would explain why certain people were simply seal geniuses. If it's true, Naruto will do well. The team agreed that it made sense for them each to learn it. Even if they didn't master it, knowing how to fight a Fuinjutsu specialist was important. While it wasn't used in battle often, it could be very effective. Most shinobi were only familiar with seals because they held Jinchuriki in check and that they were used in the creation of explosive tags. Most shinobi simply purchased sealing scrolls and explosive tags and learned nothing else of the art. Kakashi hoped one of them would take to it, as it would fully round out his team's abilities. Kakashi bid them all a good night and said, you have made me proud to be your Jonin sensei. I expect all of you to be stronger when you return. I'll be discharging my debt to Kurenai before you return, so when you do make it back we are going to start doing some missions. Team 7 shared a grin. They were excited about going on more advanced missions. The fight during the invasion of Konoha by Sound and Sand had filled them with confidence. Kakashi smiled beneath his mask as his team ran off to their individual homes. He felt good about the job he had done with them, he just wished he couldn't give over a nagging feeling that they were heading into danger. Maybe everyone is right, I am acting paranoid. Then again, just because you are paranoid doesn't mean there aren't people out to get you. Break ****. Team 7 gathered to leave the village. To everyone's surprise, they were met at the gates by Hiashi Hyuga and his two daughters. Hinata was blushing and nervous while Hanabi had a big smile on her face. Hiashi was formal as always and said, Naruto Uzumaki, Sasuke Uchiha and Sakura Haruno, my family owes you a debt of gratitude. Hiashi gently inclined his head and gave his thanks. Hinata followed saying, thank why you all for saving us. Hiashi glared out of the corner of his eye at his eldest daughter. Her stammering was disgraceful in his eyes. Hanabi also bowed her head, thank you. Naruto rubbed the back of his head in embarrassment. Sakura smiled warmly and replied, we were simply doing our duty, Hiashi-sama. It was an honor to help protect the noble Hyuga clan. Sasuke knew his clan had an old rivalry with the Hyuga, but here was the clan head giving thanks, so instead of making a disparaging remark, Sasuke simply said, killing the enemies of Konoha was our pleasure, think nothing of it. Clan honor done. Hiashi wished Team 7 good fortunate with their mission. Hinata blushed furiously and said in a rush, gee, good luck Naruto. Naruto thanked her as she turned and hurried after her father and sister. Naruto blinked for a few moments. Naruto had studied the village with a pair of clones all day and every day he was in Konoha since joining Team 7. By no means was he a master of human behavior, but he was able to pick up on some not so subtle clues. Did you guys know Hinata, likes me? Sakura barely suppressed her giggle. I guess it does make sense. She always acted nervous around you. She also never went after Sasuke-kun. Sasuke absolutely did not want to get into a conversation about what girls liked which guys. He had enough of girls and their endless matchmaking. There is Jiraiya-sama, let's go. Sakura didn't want to aggravate Sasuke, so she kept silent. However, she was absolutely going to be talking to Naruto about Hinata later. Jiraiya couldn't help himself. He clapped Naruto on the back. All right, got a fan, huh? I'll make sure you teach you exactly how to keep the ladies coming. Sakura blinked. No, I couldn't have heard that right. Sakura looked at the tall legendary shinobi. Hello Jiraiya-sama, it is a pleasure to meet you. Jiraiya waved her off. None of that formal stuff. I am the great Toad Sage, but I don't need any honorifics with traveling companions. Naruto, irritated at Jiraiya's earlier comment, said, besides you really should call him by his real title, Pervy Sage. Jiraiya half-heartedly attempted to backhand the boy, who ducked and then leapt backwards. I told you to stop calling me that. Sasuke wasn't quite sure what to make of Jiraiya. The man's reputation was legendary, but he acted like Naruto. Then again, guy acted ridiculous and he was a powerful shinobi. Sasuke walked up to Jiraiya and respectfully introduced himself. Jiraiya considered the boy before him. He was different than Itachi. Jiraiya knew Itachi would never want the truth to get out. He would keep Itachi's secret, but he really thought a mistake was being made. All right, you three, let's get going. I have a few likely places where Tsunade might be and daylight is wasting. Naruto used the cage bunchen to create a dozen clones and had them fan out around the group. Jiraiya wanted to sigh. They had barely left the gates of Konoha and Kakashi's pupils were already preparing for the ridiculously unlikely prospect of being attacked. He let them do as they pleased, not wanting an argument from the mini Kakashi clones. Naruto was the first to break the silence along their path. Pervy Sage, we wanted to ask you about Fuinjutsu. We want you to teach us. Jiraiya was surprised by this. Fuinjutsu was a rare art and a difficult one to master. All of you. Sakura and Sasuke nodded. Why? Sakura answered the question. Kakashi-sensei thought it would enhance our team's strength. If all of us learn the basics, we can figure out who is best suited for it and they can focus on it and then add it to the team's arsenal. Jiraiya looked at the three of them skeptically, a bit advanced for genin. Sasuke simply answered, we are not typical genin. We are going to be traveling. I won't have much time to teach, but I suppose I can go over the basics. Jiraiya pulled out a pair of books on Fuinjutsu. Each was quite weathered and worn. I haven't had someone use these in quite a while. The first volume is theory and the second volume is examples of most basic forms of Fuinjutsu. If you have trouble with those, then don't even waste time trying to learn more. The team gave Sasuke first dibs on the book. With his Sharingan he could memorize the pages as he flipped them. Naruto gallantly offered Sakura the next go at it. As they traveled, Team 7 asked Jiraiya about the mission and what the plan was. Jiraiya told them that Tsunade enjoyed gambling and so they were going to be visiting several casinos in the region where she had been spotted. He also gave them a description, one which caused Naruto to look at him quizzically. She was your teammate, why doesn't she look old like you? Jiraiya laughed, well, when you are a powerful kunoichi you have ways to keep up your youthful appearances. The three genin pestered Jiraiya about his battles, but unlike other shinobi their age who wanted to hear tales of epic victories and immerse themselves in the story, they kept interrupting to ask about specific battle tactics used. Why he used on jutsu over another, questions on how fast someone was in comparison, how strong, what affinities. Hey, I write books, I love to talk about my exploits, but you are taking all of the fun out of it. Naruto mocked, you write pervy books, don't get a big head. And we are listening to your story so we can become stronger. The Toad Sage let out a massive sigh. You need to live a little, not everything is about becoming stronger. Sasuke responded, yes it is. Jiraiya had originally hoped to spend time with his godson and get to know him better. Instead he was being interrogated like a rookie genin reporting to his jonin after a D-rank mission. Naruto and Sasuke were obsessed with training and becoming stronger, and Sakura wasn't too far behind them. Fine, you slave drivers, I'll give you more specifics. That evening they set some traps and Sakura laid genjutsu obscuring their presence. They set watches and Naruto was up first. Sakura volunteered for second watch. While the others fell asleep, Sakura smiled at Naruto. Naruto, I wanted to talk to you about Hinata. Naruto groaned. Why had he said anything? There isn't anything to talk about, Sakura-chan. Sakura was amused. Oh yes there is. You have realized Hinata likes you. What are you going to do about it? Naruto squirmed but then looked Sakura dead in the eye. Nothing, I like you, Sakura-chan, that hasn't changed. Sakura frowned. Naruto, I'm sorry but you know what my feelings are, you should stop getting your hopes up for nothing. Naruto squinted at Sakura and replied, are you suggesting that if someone faces rejection they should simply give up? I faced rejected in attempting to be a shinobi and now look at how far I've come. I won't give up. That's different. If a person keeps rejecting romantic intentions you should stop, it makes people feel uncomfortable and you'll miss an opportunity to be someone else. Naruto eyed her and said, I guess that means you're giving up on Sasuke. Sakura's blood turned cold. She had been doing exactly what she had just told Naruto not to do. The pink-haired genin looked down. I want to say that's different but it's not. The only reason I wanted to talk to you was to encourage you to be nice to Hinata and see if you two are good together. Naruto looked at her and grinned. I'll tell you what, Sakura-chan, you agree to go out on a date with me and afterwards, regardless of the outcome, I'll also go out on a date with Hinata. Before Sakura could answer, Jiraiya jumped out of the bedroll and clapped Naruto on the back. I trained you so well. Going out with two women, hey, why don't you see if she's alright with having you both go on a date with you at the same time? Naruto flushed and yelled, damn it, pervy sage, stop it. Sakura couldn't help but laugh. Apparently Naruto had been telling the truth. The legendary Toad Sage was a pervert. Sasuke opened his eyes and went into a battle stance, then looked around and saw the three of them. He narrowed his eyes. I am trying to get some sleep. Jiraiya waved him off. Simmer down, boy. Young love is more important than your shut eye. Sakura twitched. Shut up, she hissed. Jiraiya was thoroughly amused by the entire situation. Naruto and Sakura were both embarrassed. Sakura went to her bedroll and said, I'm going to sleep. Naruto gave Jiraiya a glare and Jiraiya backed off and climbed back into his bedroll. Sakura never said yes or no, Naruto thought to himself. The next morning they continued their journey. Sasuke had finished both books and Sakura was finding the first volume fascinating. She had finished the top of her class in the theoretical portion of being a shinobi. While even the introductory text was complex, she could understand it. The basic seals that it taught were applying chakra to ink. The amount of chakra and the combination of the characters would create different effects. All explosive tags, or paper bombs, were made this way. Storage scrolls worked on the same principle but the chakra needed was different. Making a storage scroll incorrectly simply made it not function, as long as the mistakes weren't completely absurd. The explosive tags, on the other hand, were frighteningly dangerous. Set up the sealing matrix incorrectly and it would blow up in your face. Or worse, it would blow up later at random. Creating explosive tags was something that would require Jiraiya's close supervision. The introduction book discussed other seals that could be created with Fuinjutsu briefly. It didn't go into detail, just indicated this is what a true seal master would be capable of. Everything from barrier seals to sealing Jinchuriki. The fourth Hokage's most dangerous jutsu actually involved Fuinjutsu. The Hiraishin no Jutsu, Flying Thunder God technique, was often credited as single-handedly allowing Konoha to prove victorious in the last Shinobi War. The first location Team 7 and Jiraiya visited turned out fruitless. However, the team was able to purchase sealing paper and ink so they could begin practicing practical Fuinjutsu. Sakura finished the first volume while they were traveling to the next village over. She handed it to Naruto, who handed it to one of his clones. Kage Bunshin is great, he cheekily remarked to Sakura. Sakura simply rolled her eyes. They traveled to another village. This time Naruto made a score of Kage Bunshin and had them henge as civilians. He sent them out with Tsunde's description. Not only would they be able to confirm if she was here, they could also get clues where she was headed next. When they finished searching for a day, they would work on Fuinjutsu. It became immediately clear that Sakura and Sasuke had an advantage over Naruto. Sasuke used his Sharingan to perfectly copy the amount of chakra and ink strokes needed to create a basic storage seal. Sakura had always had neat penmanship and her chakra control was the best of all of them, so she also easily completed the first level storage scroll. Naruto on the other hand failed. Jiraiya looked at Naruto's work and shook his head. Not bad, but your chakra control needs to improve or you'll never be able to make these types of seals work. Naruto ground his teeth, while the fox gave him incredible stamina, but it also made so many things difficult. Naruto kept trying for hours. However, he quickly ran out of supplies after several failures. Crap, pervy sage, can I go get more supplies? Jiraiya shook his head. This late? Everything is closed. You've been at it for a while. Take a break, it's time to get some shut-eye. Naruto grumbled and complied. Naruto woke up early the next morning and sent a clone racing to the supply store to pick up more ink and scrolls. Team 7 and Jiraiya were off to yet another village. That evening Naruto worked on the first level storage scroll again. He improved, but he was still not shaping his chakra appropriately. Jiraiya had him keep working while he lectured and began the next level of storage seal. The first storage seal just stored a small amount of material placed into it. It is in effect simply expanding the current area you have within the environment. This means if it is a warm day when the item is stored, then the contents within the scroll will feel that warmth consistently throughout the duration they are stored. Sakura furrowed her brow, but storage scrolls can hold perishable goods and corpses without them decaying. Right, you are Pinky. Jiraiya had taken to calling her Pinky when speaking with Sakura, which Sakura greatly disliked. The scrolls used by shinobi are more advanced, and while you don't have to be a seal master to make them, they are far more complex than the little seal you are working on right now. Stasis is fairly advanced. For now we are moving on to the next level scroll, which is designed to adjust the environment of the stored area. This seal will allow you to modify the temperature within the storage seal. Jiraiya continued the slightly more advanced level for those two, while Naruto continued to falter on the basic storage seal. Jiraiya was impressed with Sakura and Sasuke's efforts. He could tell the reports of Sasuke's genius were correct. He would have no problems learning the basics of Fuinjutsu. However, it did remain to be seen if he could learn the more advanced concepts, something that had frustrated and stymied Kakashi. In Sakura he felt a more natural talent. It would not surprise him if she took to Fuinjutsu like a duck to water. When Sasuke and Sakura went to sleep, Naruto volunteered for first watch and was still struggling. Jiraiya looked and saw the problems were occurring due to chakra control and frustration. His ink strokes were too firm, driven by anger instead of purpose. Frustrated, Naruto nodded. I read that the Uzumaki clan were masters at Fuinjutsu. I had hoped that I would do well. I had a flight of fantasy where my parents were looking on as I mastered their clan's most famous art and that they were smiling proudly. Naruto sighed dejectedly. Jiraiya almost told Naruto about his parents right then and there, but he stopped himself. Instead he said, "You just graduated from the academy less than a year ago, Naruto. Almost no one teaches Genin Fuinjutsu, hell most chunin outside of prodigies even go near it. Give it a few years and when you have better chakra control, try it again." Naruto nodded. It was good advice. While he thought it would be great if he could be a master in ninjutsu, genjutsu, kenjutsu, fuinjutsu, medical jutsu and summoning jutsu, it was a little egotistical to believe he could master every ninja art. And the more time he worked on something that wasn't beneficial for the team, the less time he could work on something that was productive. All right, pervy sage, I guess you deserve the title of sage after all. I will keep studying books on fuinjutsu as I find them. My clones can read them without taking away any time from my training. Naruto looked up with a smile. Since I'm not going to be learning fuinjutsu from you, what can you teach me? Jiraiya thought about for a few moments and said, well Naruto, I've taught you the Rasengan and how to summon toads. So far you seem to really like summoning Gamaken, however not all situations require a gigantic battle, sometimes you need subtlety and stealth. Or you may be underground or in a building and you don't want to destroy everything with your summon. Naruto saw that made sense. So I should summon smaller toads and get to know them. Exactly. Right now Gamakichi is too small to be very useful, however toads grow very quickly and before you know it he'll be man-sized and then even larger. Naruto was surprised by how big the tiny little toad would grow up into. But first let's have you summon one of my personal friends, Gama. Jiraiya summoned Gamma and helped Naruto approximate how much chakra he needed to push into the summoning in order for it to function. Gamma actually didn't say much at all. Jiraiya explained that he was just like that and to not take offense. Gamma was larger than a human but could fit in most buildings just fine. In battle he wore samurai-style armor and had incredible strength. In addition he was adept at using his tongue to knock weapons out of the air as well as wrap up potential targets. Naruto practiced until he got the chakra level correct. Gamma was a good sport about it. Or at least Naruto thought he was because he never said a word. Naruto was happy at learning something productive and wished his teammates good luck in learning Fuinjutsu. Jiraiya was starting to become desperate. If he didn't find Tsunade soon he would have to be the Hokage. Luckily for Jiraiya they finally caught wind of her and were able to track her down to one of the casinos. Jiraiya considered only bringing Naruto but Sakura was dying to meet the strongest kunoichi in the world and it would be awkward to tell the Uchiha boy he wasn't allowed to come. Jiraiya brought the three genin before Tsunade and her apprentice Shizune. Tsunade was drinking at the time and looked annoyed at spotting her former teammate. What do you want? Jiraiya gave her a sad smile. I know you've already heard the news. Konoha needs a new Hokage and you would be the best person for the job. The youthful-looking Sannin barked out a laugh. Me? Hokage? Why would I want that job? Only fools want to become Hokage. Naruto seethed at her comment. What did you just say? Tsunade looked at the boy and said, I said that only a fool would want to be a Hokage and I'm not going to do it. Naruto looked at Jiraiya and spoke angrily, this is a waste of time. Why would we want trash like this to be our Hokage? Tsunade growled in anger, did you just call me trash? Naruto nodded, you bet I did you old hag, how dare you insult Gigi? How dare you insult your sensei and your own grandfather? Tsunade clenched her fists, you little brat, I'm going to pound you. Jiraiya saw this escalating very quickly, now let's not get too carried away here. Tsunade, Naruto was very close to sensei so you just struck a nerve. Jiraiya was between the two of them and continued, now Naruto apologize and let's discuss this rationally. Sakura grabbed Naruto by the sleeve, stop ruining our chances of bringing Tsunade back. Sasuke didn't speak up very often. So it was surprising when he spoke. Kakashi-sensei says those that abandon their comrades are worse than trash. She's abandoned her comrades for over a decade. Leave her be Jiraiya-sensei and let's return to the leaf. Jiraiya cursed, this had not gone as planned at all. He never would have that Naruto and Sasuke would have gone off on someone with Tsunade's reputation. That's it, we are taking this outside where I'm going to teach you snot-nosed brats a lesson. Naruto looked at her disbelieving. Let me get this straight. You know you are worse than trash and you don't like hearing it so you want to physically attack us. Why would we agree to fight you, one of the Sannin? We don't doubt your strength, we doubt your ability to honor your vow to protect and serve your village. Get them out of here before I kill them, Jiraiya, Tsunade said as her killing intent spiked to horrific levels. The casino staff ran away and the three genin trembled slightly but only slightly. Kakashi had drilled into them how to resist killing intent. Jiraiya turned to Team 7, get out. I'll talk with her. Try to avoid getting into any more trouble. The three genin turned sharply and left, leaving the Toad Sage with the now furious Slug Princess. Jiraiya managed to prevent Tsunade from going on the warpath but the prospects of making her Hokage were looking dim. Thankfully he had gotten her agreement to talk again after she calmed down. Jiraiya made his way back to where Team 7 was staying. When he arrived he shouted at them. What is wrong with you? Naruto responded, we apologize Jiraiya-sensei, we should not have acted that way. Jiraiya was caught off guard. That wasn't the response he had been expecting. He did a double take and said, what? Naruto explained, you are the team leader on the mission. It was obvious during the conversation that you wanted us to be more diplomatic. I should have suppressed my own thoughts and feelings and allowed you to take the lead. Jiraiya eyed him as he parsed the blonde's words. So you still think she's trash and unfit to be Hokage? You just think it wasn't your place to say so because it contradicted your team leader's approach, do I have it right? Naruto nodded. Jiraiya pulled up a chair. You don't know the whole story. Let me explain, Tsunade wasn't always like this. She had a younger brother and, Naruto interrupted, excuse me Jiraiya-sensei but I know her history. Her little brother Nawaki was killed in the line of duty as a genin at the age of 12. Her lover Dan was also killed. After both of those deaths she left the village and Gigi did not recall her. She spent that time drinking and gambling. Do I have all of the facts, Jiraiya-sensei? Yes you do. So why don't you understand the position she is in? Kakashi-sensei lost his father, his sensei and his entire team, and he has stayed loyal to Konoha and is in active service. Naruto gestured to his teammate. Sasuke has lost his entire family and he has stayed loyal to Konoha and is in active service. And there are many more shinobi who have suffered but have remained loyal to the village. Kami, you are heartless. Kakashi might be a fantastic sensei when it comes to ninja arts, but all three of you need humanity. Naruto, Sasuke and Sakura all narrowed their eyes in anger. Sakura spoke up, we are not heartless. We talked about it while you were with her. You don't think we feel pity for what happened? All of us wish her life had been easier, but if we excuse her behavior and let someone like that become the Hokage, will more families suffer because of poor decisions she will make. Naruto added in on top of her, and what happens if she loses another precious person? What if Shizune dies? Will she then abandon the village again, leaving it leaderless at a horrible time? It is because we care about the village and the people in it that we want to have the best and strongest Hokage possible. Naruto took a breath and then went on, and I've got several years to go before I'm even near strong enough to take the hat. Until then you Jiraiya are far better than Tsunade. You may not have been in the village, but I know you were keeping Konoha safe from the shadows, intercepting threats before they form. You have the skill to be the Hokage and you are a loyal shinobi. It has to be you, not her. Jiraiya couldn't fault the analysis made by Naruto and Team 7. The Toad Sannin smiled at the corner of his mouth. On paper that all sounds great. It's logical and represents what you think the best chance our village has to ensure peace and security. Jiraiya stood up from the chair and gestured with his hands. But you are still missing the human element. Despite evidence to the contrary, I believe in Tsunade. I believe she will make a great Hokage and be an asset to the Leaf. I believe she will reconnect with the people of her home and have life enter her heart again. Sasuke spoke up, that's irrational, you're basing your belief on what you want to happen, not what will happen. Jiraiya shook his head, you may be right but I don't care. A hero fights on even when it is hopeless. A hero has faith even when logic dictates it is a lost cause. A hero is a man so old his chakra grows weaker by the day, but he still fights tooth and nail against Kinjutsu and saves the village from Orochimaru. I dream of peace one day. Is it logical? Is it rational? No, but I will believe in it just like I believe the dead last of his class can be the Hokage. That firm and unwavering belief in others is what you three are missing. All three of them were silent for a time. Sakura looked at the tall shinobi. She had never seen him so passionate about something. Jiraiya-sensei, what you just told us and how you just told us is exactly why you should be the Hokage. Jiraiya blinked. Sakura's words made him think, but they wouldn't change his course now. I hope you change your mind, and I expect you to act diplomatically if you see Tsunade again. All three agreed and Jiraiya decided to begin teaching the next lesson on Fuinjutsu. Sakura and Sasuke had mastered the sealing matrices for the first two types of sealing scrolls. They could create a sealing scroll that mimicked the environment the item was in before being placed inside the scroll. They could also alter the temperature, so if they needed to carry a cold item they could modify the seal to bring the temperature down. The third alteration was changing other parts of the environment. Humidity and air pressure could also be manipulated with the storage scroll, and that was what they were learning next. Naruto left a clone to listen to the lesson while he went outside and summoned Gamakichi. Naruto provided snacks and listened to the toad talk about the other inhabitants of Mount Myoboku. Naruto got to know the young toad better and learned about the personalities of the others as well as which ones wouldn't mind being summoned for battle or training. After a couple of hours Gamakichi returned home and Naruto went to sleep along with the rest of Team 7 who had finished the Fuinjutsu lesson. Break a few days went by. Jiraiya figured they had time to spare while Tsunade cooled down. Jiraiya had also caught wind that Orochimaru was in the area and that concerned him. He left eyes on the three genin entrusted into his care and then went to meet Tsunade. They sat down for drinks. Tsunade started the conversation, those brats need to learn to respect their elders. Jiraiya simply nodded. There wasn't much heat in her voice and that was a good thing. I think you are crazy if you think I should be the Hokage. You should just leave and forget you found me. Jiraiya shook his head, I can't do that. I also can't just leave when you might be meeting with Orochimaru. Tsunde's eyes widened. So he did know. It's none of your business. Look, let's just enjoy our meal. And, I'd like to know a little more about Minato's brat. He looks to be quite a handful. I have no idea how he's turned out except for rumors and our last little conversation. Jiraiya happily obliged her and never noticed her slip something into his drink. Kakashi was going to honor his bargain with Kurenai. He would lend a hand in their training as she had lent a hand with Sakura's genjutsu. Kakashi reviewed the mission reports, academy scores and Kurenai's own notes on them. He quickly saw issues that needed to be addressed. Shino had the fewest problems. He had above-average tactical know-how and a level head. Outside of Shikamaru and Sasuke, he scored the highest on intelligence tests. Shino was committed to his clan's jutsu and worked hard to master it. The problem he saw was an over-reliance on his insect allies. Due to chakra those bugs used, he would be unable to use ninjutsu effectively. In essence, the bugs meant his chakra pool was smaller. On the plus side, his chakra control was excellent. In many ways it reminded him of Sakura when he first met her. Kakashi knew almost no medical jutsu, however he would bring one of the shinobi hospital staff to train Shino on the basics. With the team's specialty of tracking, having a medically trained shinobi would be useful. If they had to capture an enemy alive, they could afford to use stronger attacks, knowing that all but the worst wounds could be healed. Kiba was terrific close-range fighter for a genin. Between him and Akamaru, he was probably Chunin level in close combat. Kiba had two problems. One was his brashness. He was arrogant and cocky, and that would get a shinobi killed. He wasn't sure how to handle it. He really was not their sensei, and he wasn't going to spending a huge chunk of time with them. If they were his team, he would have beat it out of Kiba, but Kurenai may not appreciate that approach. I'll discuss it with her, he thought. The second issue was that Team 8 had no elemental chakra usage. This wasn't atypical for a genin team, but it still galled Kakashi. Casualty rates would be a lot lower if genin teams learned their chakra nature affinities early. He would test Kiba for what affinity he had and then drill him in that nature and teach him a jutsu or two for the betterment of the squad. The last issue was Hinata. Hinata wasn't arrogant, and given her last name most would think that a blessing. However, she had taken the other extreme. She was extremely unconfident and had no leadership abilities whatsoever. With her Byakugan, she needed to be able to make independent decisions. It wasn't always practical to simply relay information to her team verbally and wait for someone else to make a decision. He had some ideas on how to fix those confidence issues. He also wanted to help her with her taijutsu. She was skilled already, but further refinement wouldn't hurt. Kakashi doubted he would teach her ninjutsu at this time. The gentle fist style was an exacting discipline that required a lot of effort, and it wouldn't be wise to split her attention too much. Kakashi was looking forward to sparring with her and giving her some tips. He would also try to find some time to talk with Guy while Neji was working on his gentle fist so he could compare the two and make corrections to Hinata's forms as needed. If Team 8 was willing to work with him, he could improve their abilities to the point where the next Chunin exam should be simple for them. Kakashi longed for his team to return already, successful for not. Putting thoughts of Team 8 and Team 7 out of his head, he began his own training. His body was probably at peak condition, but it took effort to keep it maintained. Additionally, he wanted to keep increasing his stamina while using the Sharingan. Slowly but surely he was forcing his body to become acclimated to it. While his body would never seamlessly use the Sharingan like a natural Uchiha, he could minimize the differences as much as possible, allowing him to use it for longer periods of time. Jiraiya was late returning to the hotel. Team 7 had Naruto send out shadow clones to investigate. When one of the clones spotted him at a stand that served food and alcohol, it approached ready to give him an earful, only to see Jiraiya unconscious. The clone tried waking him but was unsuccessful. The clone dissipated, so report back to Naruto, who swiftly made more clones to carry the passed out Jiraiya back to their rooms. Sakura had a basic working of medical jutsu. She knew enough to realize that Jiraiya had been drugged. He wasn't drunk, so that could be the only option. His pulse was low but not dangerously slow, and his condition wasn't deteriorating, so the prognosis looked good. They decided to watch over him and try to wake him in the morning. In the morning they were able to get Jiraiya up. He realized what had happened and told them to fan out and find Tsunade and Shizune as soon as possible. Jiraiya knew where Shizune and Tsunade were staying, so they headed there first. Shizune informed them of what had happened and they immediately began searching for the missing Sannin. Tsunade, I came to bring you back, you had better not be siding with that traitor. I love you, but if you betray Konoha I'll have no choice but to kill you. Break one of Naruto's clones spotted smashed terrain in the distance and instantly popped, letting the real Naruto know. Team 7, Jiraiya and Shizune rushed to that location and soon heard the sounds of battle. Orochimaru was watching as Kabuto fought with Tsunade. As they arrived, Kabuto cut his hand and splattered blood all over Tsunade. Tsunade was stunned, paralyzed even, and didn't evade the Kabuto's next strike that sent her sailing. Shizune quickly caught her master and Team 7 sprang into action. Naruto began by creating 40 clones, half of which charged immediately. Kabuto had failed to accurately report the strength of Team 7 and it was his most comprehensive failure to date. Kabuto was angry and was going to wipe away his shame by destroying Team 7. He would keep Sasuke alive, but Sakura and Naruto were dead. Chakra scalpels appeared in his hands as the clones struck at him. He was surprised by the swiftness of the attack. The katanas screamed towards him with high Chunin level speed. Kabuto dodged skillfully and responded by slashing and killing several clones. Kabuto tried to make headway to get at the real Naruto as well as Sakura and Sasuke, but failed to do so. The clones simply did not allow him to proceed forward. They would slash and cut, blocking his path, while he could pop one or two, even that was getting harder. Kabuto was frustrated, especially considering Team 7 was simply calmly watching him struggle with the clones and not even doing anything. So they think they are safe over there, Kabuto thought. Kabuto used Doton, Shinju Zanshu no Jutsu, Earth style, Headhunter Jutsu, to burrow into the ground and pop up behind Naruto and drag him part of the way into the earth, and then use a chakra scalpel to cut into his lungs. The clone dissipated and then explosive tags that were on the clone exploded point blank in Kabuto's face. The explosion destroyed the clones of Sasuke and Sakura as well, who also had explosive tags on them. Kabuto was blasted backwards from the explosion. A Naruto clone leapt at him swinging its katana down. Kabuto flipped in mid-air, dazed but still aware of his surroundings, and caught the blade between his palms. The strength of the attack was stopped, but Kabuto felt it in his arms. The strength was far beyond any genin. Kabuto hit the ground and quickly used Kawarimi to avoid a Kaiten. Gokakyu no Jutsu, fire release, great fireball technique, from the real Sasuke. Kabuto was breathing heavily. What was happening? Trained by Orochimaru personally, he was extremely confident in his skills. Outside of Jiraiya, Kakashi and Guy, he doubted any other Leaf Shinobi would be a match. Kabuto had to take this more cautiously. He still wanted them dead, but he would need to start taking the fight more seriously. Jiraiya had intended Shizune to fight with Kabuto while he fought with Orochimaru. When he saw the Naruto clones race forward, he figured it would be fine since the real Team 7 would be safe while the clones did battle. Seeing the effectiveness in real combat firsthand was surprising. He had seen Team 7 train with them, but it hadn't prepared him to see this level of efficacy in real battle. Orochimaru smiled. Team 7 being this competent did pose a potential problem for today, however it also meant that Sasuke was strong enough to be his vessel. Yes Sasuke, you will be mine, you are perfect. Jiraiya told Shizune, help Team 7, I'll handle Orochimaru. Two Naruto clones pulled Tsunade away from the fighting area. Kabuto distanced himself from the clones and resorted to Doton, Shinju Zanshu no Jutsu, Earth style, Headhunter Jutsu, to simply travel next Orochimaru. He hastily popped a plasma pill and unwrapped Orochimaru's arm. As the Naruto clones charged, the two enemies of Konoha finished their summoning jutsu. A giant two-headed snake appeared from the smoke. One clone dashed forward, accepting death, to slash with his katana to check the strength of the snake's scale. Unsurprising, the blade did not piercing the scale and the summon crushed the clone. Jiraiya responded with his own summon, finishing the jutsu revealed none other than Gamakichi. Jiraiya cursed. Tsunade's drug was still affecting his chakra control. Orochimaru laughed, still playing the fool, I see. The real Naruto saw the danger and immediately used Kuchio's no Jutsu summoning technique. Right as he was finishing the hand seals, Kabuto threw a flurry of scalpels at Naruto. Sakura deflected them as they traveled to their target. That done, Naruto was able to finish the summoning. Unlike Jiraiya's Gamakichi, Naruto was able to summon one of the great battle toads. Gamaken took in his surroundings and narrowed his eyes, seeing the two-headed snake. He twirled his Sasumata and rumbled, dangerous, I am not too clumsy to deal with this snake. Jiraiya breathed a sigh of relief. Even though Gamaiken could probably take the two-headed snake, there was no reason not to lend a helping hand. Doton, Yomi Numa, Earth Release, Swamp of the Underworld. The ground beneath the snake turned to mud. The jutsu did more than just that, the chakra made the swamp adhesive, making it nearly impossible to escape. Unfortunately, due to the drug still within his system, the swamp was not deep enough to finish off the summon, but it did impair its ability to fight. Gamaiken was easily able to strike at the snake, causing tremendous damage with his Sasumata. Orochimaru opened his mouth and brought forth the sword of Kusanagi. Holding it in his mouth, he slashed the young summoner. Gamaiken blocked, the blade slightly cracking the surface of the massive shield. Naruto ran down Gamaiken's body and leaped to the ground. Kabuto moved fast to intercept and kill the annoying boy in mid-air. Kabuto's chakra scalpels were ready, however Sasuke moved to intercept. Kabuto was committed to the attack and only had fractions of a second to respond. Sasuke's Chidori filled the air with chirps and Kabuto tried to use the chakra scalpel to rip the tendons in his arm, forcing it to go limp. However, Sasuke's Sharingan whirled behind the contact lens and easily saw the attempted move. The raven-haired boy adjusted his aim and smashed the chakra scalpel with his Chidori. The electricity was only slightly diminished and still held its killing potential. The Chidori cut through half of Kabuto's hand, eliciting a scream of pain. As Kabuto landed on the ground, he was instantly pounced on by two Naruto clones. Kabuto pushed chakra into his feet and used Shunshin to get away, narrowly avoiding further damage. Kabuto had used a new Shomatsu, Yin Healing Sound Destruction, to minimize the damage, but his hand would not work properly for some time. Orochimaru abandoned his snake summon and moved away from Jiraiya and Gamaiken. Seeing their summon outclassed, Orochimaru called to Kabuto and the two of them summoned Manda the Great Snake. Shizune, who had been ready to assist Team 7, rushed back to Tsunade. She believed they would need Tsunade to summon Katsuyu if they were going to stand a chance. Manda hissed, "Orochimaru, why have you summoned me?" Orochimaru promised 100 sacrifices if he were to kill all but Sasuke and Tsunade. Gamaiken had just forced the giant snake to dissipate when he turned and faced a threat that outclassed him. He rumbled nervously but held his ground against the world's greatest serpent. Sasuke called out, "Kabuto has a regenerative ability." All of Team 7 knew what that meant. Don't assume he was down until he had been decapitated and burnt. Orochimaru rode on Manda's head as it bore down on Gamaiken. Kabuto had finally been able to figure out which were the real members of Team 7 and which were clones. The clones that were in a henge acted slightly different in their movements. Kabuto used Shunshin to get close and the academy-level Bunshin to confuse his enemies as he went for Sakura. He laughed as she completed hand signs and shouted, "Kaiten, Gokakyu no Jutsu, Fire Release, Great Fireball Technique. I know how you fight, I will not fall to your Genjutsu, Kai." Kabuto realized in horror he wasn't under a Genjutsu. Sakura had used ninjutsu on him. Shielding his face with his arms, he again used his healing ability to survive the worst of it. As the fire raged, clones shot kunai and shuriken at him. Kabuto clenched his jaw in frustration as his body became further damaged and used his Doton, Shinju Zanshu no Jutsu, Earth-style, Headhunter Jutsu, to escape underground. Gamaiken leapt aside as Manda smashed into the area he had vacated. Jiraiya was somewhat at a loss for what to do. Hoping to distract Manda, he used a chakra-infused jump to land on the Great Snake and began climbing towards Orochimaru. Orochimaru slashed down with Kusanagi, carefully avoiding Manda's body. Jiraiya did a small jump and landed on the sword itself and then kicked out at Orochimaru, who dodged to the side easily. Naruto wasn't idle, he threw a kunai with an explosive tag attached to it and watched it bounce off Manda's incredibly strong scales, the explosion accomplishing nothing. Naruto grinned and swiftly attached another explosive tag onto his chakra kunai. Powering it with his wind chakra, he threw it at Manda's great body again, this time the wind-infused chakra blade piercing the scales and buried itself in the monstrous form. The paper bomb exploded from the inside of Manda. Manda writhed in pain and thrashed around. Both Sannin had used chakra on their souls to stay in contact with Manda while they fought, but this unexpected movement broke the connection and they fell. Manda was a massive serpent. The damage was nowhere near enough to kill him. It was akin to a human having a needle stuck in their calf and having it inject bleach into their body. Horrifically painful but not enough kill. Gamaiken saw an opening and struck out with his weapon, denting some of the snake's scales under its jaw. "I'll crush you," the Great Snake threatened. Manda attempted to wrap itself around the gallant toad, but the self-proclaimed clumsy toad used his Sasumata as a pole and vaulted over the snake's grasp. Jiraiya and Orochimaru landed safely and continued their battle. With Jiraiya's chakra still not under his full control, it was all he could do to avoid getting hit by his foe's dangerous blade. Naruto sent some clones to help, but they did little to stop the agile Sannin. The difference between a Sannin even Son's usable arms and Kabuto was significant. Naruto launched his last chakra kunai at Manda. Manda cried out in rage and pain as he suffered another painful internal explosion. Shizune was desperately trying to get Tsunade to snap out of her hemophobia. Her eyes were distant, looking at some unknown horror, and were unresponsive. Shizune cried out, "Please Tsunade-sama, snap out it. Master Jiraiya needs you." The Naruto clones on guard shook their heads and continued to keep a sharp eye out if anything came their way. Kabuto's chakra was dropping to dangerous levels. He hesitated in taking another rations pill. It would refuel his chakra, but the side effects were drastic, and even a medical nin of his ability could be permanently harmed by trying to use a second pill so quickly after the first. He used Shunshin to step away from the battle and used stealth to avoid being seen. Manda should be sufficient to deal with the enemies on the field. Kabuto would never admit it, but Team 7 had shaken him badly. He had yet to do any damage to any of his targets. He had tried to take on Naruto, Sasuke and Sakura at different times in the battle, and each time he was the one taking damage. Sasuke was able to spot Kabuto away from the battle with his Sharingan. He pointed it out to Naruto and Sakura. They would ignore him for now because something had to be done about Manda. Naruto and Sasuke looked at each other and silently agreed to the plan. Naruto and Sasuke rushed toward where Manda was corralling Gameiken. When they got close enough, they shouted in unison. Futon, Daytopper, Wind Release, Great Breakthrough. Kaiten, Gokakyu no Jutsu, Fire Release, Great Fireball Technique. The roaring flames scorched Manda's skin but did little real damage despite its fury. Manda reared up and attempted to swallow the two annoying insects. Gameiken took the opportunity to smash Manda across the mouth with his weapon, giving time for Sasuke and Naruto leap backward. Sasuke looked at Naruto. That didn't work. Any other ideas? Naruto glanced at the battlefield. Jiraiya and Orochimaru were busy with each other. Shizune was still trying to get Tsunade to respond. Kabuto was hanging back and Manda was going to defeat Gameiken soon. Step back, he ordered Sasuke in a low growl. Sasuke glanced at Naruto and saw a spike of red chakra from within Naruto with his Sharingan. Naruto forced himself to think about his Jiji. How much he loved him. How he had been killed by Orochimaru. He felt the foul chakra start to fill his body. Pay up, you damn fox, or do you want to be killed here with me? Naruto let out a wordless roar and charged toward Manda and Gameiken. Manda felt the chakra spike and looked warily for its source. Kuchihyose no Jutsu, summoning technique. A cloud of smoke appeared and then dispersed, revealing Gamabunta, the chief toad. Manda hissed angrily. Now he was between two of the great toads. But Naruto wasn't done. He used Kawarimi with a clone to bring himself to the ground. He could feel the Kyuubi chakra within him. It had dimmed with the summon but was not exhausted. Flashing through the hand signs, he repeated the summoning technique. He had learned that there was another he could summon from Mount Myoboku. Gamahiro was the third great battle toad to appear on the field of battle. He had two blades strapped to his back that he swiftly drew them against Manda. Manda hissed and looked at his three opponents. Manda was arrogant, but against three battle toads he would not be the victor. Gamabunta shouted, "Time to get a snakeskin wallet." Orochimaru saw the gigantic toad circle the great serpent. If he had his arms he would have continued the battle, but with Kabuto being outclassed by Team 7 and now his chief summon in a difficult position, he did not have the resources to win. Orochimaru sank into the ground, and when Manda saw this he hissed, "Coward, I had better have those sacrifices soon, Orochimaru." Manda then dissipated as well. Kabuto quickly followed his master and the battlefield was cleared of opponents. Jiraiya was breathing heavily. If only he hadn't been drugged, he could have prevented Orochimaru's escape. The toads, seeing the battle was over, also returned to their home. Naruto was quite winded but was happy they had been successful. Good work, brat. Jiraiya then looked at Sakura and Sasuke. Good work, all of you. Shizune was speechless after seeing three shinobi, Genin aged, take on foes like Orochimaru and Kabuto. Naruto then cursed unexpectedly, "Damn it. That snake owes me 2 chakra blades. They looked at him quizzically. I was hoping when he went back to wherever he came from my chakra blades would drop to the ground here. Sakura couldn't help but laugh. It wasn't that funny really, but she had just survived a battle that had involved the Sannin. Jiraiya simply shook his head. Kid, I'll buy you a half dozen, you just saved all of our hides. The triumphant Team 7 got Tsunade cleaned up and took her to the hotel. Eventually the shock of seeing blood faded and Tsunade was able to recover. Seeing everyone around here, she looked away filled with shame. I'm sorry everyone. I shouldn't have drugged you Jiraiya, and I shouldn't have hit you Shizune. I don't know how I survived, but I'm sure I have you all to thank. Jiraiya gave her a lopsided grin. Since you want to thank us, why don't you come back with us to Konoha and become the Hokage? Tsunade looked down. After all this you still think I should be Hokage? Jiraiya nodded. Of course. Team 7 looked grim and Tsunade didn't miss their expressions. Take me back to Konoha. I want to pay my respects to Sensei. Afterwards I'll let you know my decision. Jiraiya would have preferred a firm yes, but it was better than an outright no. Jiraiya gave a meaningful look to Team 7. The 3 genin knew that look meant they should not try to pressure Tsunade to pass the hat to Jiraiya. After resting for one day, Team 7, Shizune, Tsunade and Jiraiya began their return journey to Konohagakure. One of the 2 Sannin was becoming Hokage. Team 7 and company returned to Konohagakure with no further problems. When they arrived in the village, Kakashi was waiting for them. He gave them a wave and said, "Welcome home, it looks like you were successful. I trust you made sure to keep an eye on my team, right Jiraiya?" Jiraiya gave a nervous laugh. "Your team is right here safe and sound just like I promised. Pretty uneventful trip really." Sakura and Naruto's eyes bugged out while Sasuke just smirked. Jiraiya kept walking. "We have to get to the Hokage Tower and make some decisions if you'll excuse me Kakashi." Kakashi missed nothing but simply said, "All right then, thank you for returning my team." Kakashi turned to Tsunade and Shizune and addressed them. "Good to see you Lady Tsunade. And you as well Shizune. If you'll excuse me, I'll want to hear my team report." Shizune smiled, wishing she was a fly on the wall when Team 7 made their report. She followed Master Jiraiya and Lady Tsunade and wondered about Kakashi's reaction to his team of genin fighting Konoha's most dangerous missing nin. If Shizune had been there, she would have been underwhelmed by his reaction. A slight widening of his one visible eye was the only reaction he gave as he listened to his team tell him about their encounter with Kabuto and Orochimaru. What was the point of overacting? Now if he had heard his team was going to fight the pair, he would be worried, but clearly they had survived. Instead he analyzed the fight and discussed alternative strategies to the ones used. Kakashi also questioned him about Fuinjutsu. Naruto explained why he was not going to pursue it and instead he would work on refining his chakra control. He was also looking forward to learning a new wind jutsu. Sakura loved Fuinjutsu and couldn't help but gush about it. Sasuke was less impressed. Jiraiya-sensei explained that it takes a long time to master the art of Fuinjutsu and that even when mastered it isn't always practical to use in battle. If Sakura wants to take the lead on Fuinjutsu, that's fine. I would like to learn more jutsu and continue my taijutsu mastery. Kakashi found the decision reasonable. Sakura was beaming when her sensei said, "Well then it's decided. Unless you hit a wall in your training Sakura, you will be the team's Fuinjutsu specialist. Learning Genjutsu, Taijutsu and Fuinjutsu at the same time will be a struggle. For now you will not be able to learn any more ninjutsu with all of that on your plate." Sakura took the news gracefully. Her chakra reserves had expanded significantly since graduating the academy, but her Kaiten fire-release jutsu took a lot of chakra that could be better used for Genjutsu. It was great to have an ace in the hole, however she couldn't be an expert in everything. The training game plan was on the table. All 3 of them would continue to work on conditioning and taijutsu. Naruto would focus on improving chakra control and learning a new wind jutsu. Sakura would work on Genjutsu and Fuinjutsu, and Sasuke would be further focused on taijutsu and ninjutsu. That determined Kakashi informed them they would soon be going on a B-ranked mission. The only reason a mission hadn't been selected was because he didn't know when they would return. Team 7 was all smiles. They were ready. Break on the way to the Hokage Tower, Tsunade told Jiraiya she wanted to stop at Hiruzen's gravesite. Tsunade was silent for a few minutes, thinking back on her past. What would her sensei say now? Now after being gone for years, abandoning the leaf and not being there to protect it, what would he say about her being the Hokage? Jiraiya was a respectful distance away, so he didn't notice her silent tears. Why am I here? Why did I go back to the place with so many horrible memories? Tsunade shivered. Nothing kept her here, but after returning she felt obligated to stay. She had nearly gotten Jiraiya killed, nearly gotten the fourth Hokage's son killed, nearly gotten Shizune killed. She had been helpless because of her memories. There was no way she could be the Hokage. Tsunade turned to her former teammate and shook her head. I can't. I can't be Hokage Jiraiya, I'm sorry but I simply can't. Jiraiya reached out and Tsunade hugged him, and despite her breasts pressing against him he didn't have a single lecherous thought. It's all right. No one is going to make you Hokage if you don't want to be. Jiraiya had hoped for a different outcome. He had hoped that time had eased her wounds. He had hoped that Naruto, the boy who never gave up, would convince her to take up her grandfather's mantle. But Naruto had done nothing but condemn her and then refused to fight her when challenged. Naruto was right. Fighting someone just because of a disagreement was foolish. But because he did not, Tsunade never saw the fire within Naruto, the passion to never give up. He couldn't blame the boy for not accepting her challenge. She was one of the Sannin. And then the way things went down with Orochimaru was just bad for Tsunade. Yes, no one had died and he was incredibly thankful for that. But Tsunade had lay helpless in the dirt. She had almost gotten several people killed and it probably reinforced her view that she wasn't strong enough, capable enough or worthy enough for the title. At this point nothing he could say would change her mind. Tsunade, I'll be the Hokage. I only ask that you stay for a while, let Shizune reacquaint herself with the village of her youth. Tsunade nodded. All right, it's the least I can do. I have no desire to talk with the council. I'll go find a place for me and Shizune. Jiraiya accepted her answer and then let her be. He didn't think he was a good selection for Hokage. But now he would be selected and he would be damned if he brought ruin to Konoha. Jiraiya would become the Godime and do his very best. Nearly everyone was on board with Jiraiya becoming Hokage. The Jonin had no problems with the legendary Toad Sage, though a few of the male Jonin were highly concerned about a potential delay in the next volume of the literature. The daimyo also thought highly of Jiraiya and so the choice was ratified and made. Jiraiya immediately confirmed much of what had already been done. The Leaf's strategy was to give the illusion that they were near full strength. As such, Jonin were completing missions at a very fast clip. Anbu Black Ops were also doing missions that normally would be considered beneath them, but right now they needed to just get them done. As the Godime Hokage, Jiraiya's first task was something he felt was long overdue. After the first council session he excused everyone but Danzo and Kakashi. He started with a bombshell. Danzo, I am aware Root still exists. Danzo gave no visible reaction other than to say, Saruto be disbanded at years. Jiraiya slapped his hand on the table. Don't lie to me, Danzo. I'll have you executed for treason if you continue your falsehoods. Danzo's eyes went to Kakashi and then back to Jiraiya. Root serves a purpose, it protects this village. Root can keep its name and continue to exist, but changes will be made. I need a full accounting of every shinobi under your control, their abilities, skills and mission history. Furthermore, your abhorrent recruitment and training practices end now. Danzo seethed inside. Root was his, he had built it and he would be the one in control. Danzo stood up. Don't be an idealistic fool. Konoha was almost destroyed because of your sensei's foolish naivete. Root supports the great tree from the shadows, without it we would be in an even worse state. I refuse to allow you to destroy Konoha. Kakashi raised his killing intent and spoke softly. Danzo, this is your Hokage. You can feel free to disagree with him but you will obey. Danzo shifted. Fighting here would be stupid. Even if he won, Konohagakure would be hard-pressed to recover the loss of two of its most powerful shinobi. Moreover, the council would never work with him if he assassinated the newly selected Hokage. Even with his stolen eye and arm, the chances of him actually winning were microscopic. Danzo was defeated for the moment. He lowered his gaze and said, I understand, Jiraiya-sama, you will have a full listing of the shinobi within Root on your desk in the morning. Jiraiya knew Danzo would be trouble in the future, but if he obeyed he would allow him to contain his role. But the way he trained and raised shinobi would be stopped immediately. Danzo left and Kakashi turned to Jiraiya. If you will excuse me, Lord Hokage, I'll be heading out with my team. Jiraiya waved him off. Kakashi's presence shouldn't have been needed, but the Jonin had insisted it would be wise. With his Sharingan he knew Danzo was far from the cripple he pretended to be. Jiraiya still hadn't been worried, but it didn't hurt to make it clear where Kakashi's loyalties were. That off his to-do list, he made his way to his office and cringed at all the paperwork. My fans will suffer for what I do for the village. There may never be another book released at this rate. With a heavy sigh, Jiraiya got to work. With the stack of information en route coming in tomorrow, he needed to make a sizable dent as soon as possible. Break Team 7 set off on a string of missions. Due to the quantity of missions available, it was easy to link missions together. Escort duty to one land seamlessly wove into an assassination in the same area before returning home. Normally it was frowned about to chain missions together because if you failed the first one, it automatically meant the second failed. That led to dissatisfied customers and less revenue for the village. It also was a black mark on the reputation of the village. Success rate mattered greatly. However, this was Kakashi, so the idea of him failing a B mission was laughable. In the next month, Team 7 would complete 13 B-ranked missions, and a pair of C-ranked missions only taken due to proximity. On those missions, Team 7 further enhanced their teamwork. Sakura's genjutsu proved to quite valuable for the less direct combat-oriented assignments. Genjutsu allowed for assassinations to give the appearance of suicide. Sometimes mission parameters forbid the frontal approach. In direct combat, Team 7 obliterated any opposition. Zabuza and Haku made their wave mission an A-rank mission, meaning that typical opposition for a B rank was below the difficulty of Zabuza and Haku. In fact, they only encountered Chunin level threat on all of their missions. That was true until the last mission of the month. The mission was potentially dangerous because the gem merchant was traveling with a large amount of merchandise. Missions came into the leaf from all sorts of people. There was one mission that was tasked with kill the gem merchant and delivering the merchandise elsewhere, and there was one mission for guarding the gem merchant. Konoha has chosen to defend the gem merchant, which means whoever was looking for shinobi to kill said merchant would go to another village. Iwagakure was anxious to test the waters and see if Konoha was really as battle-ready as it pretended to be. The plan was a simple one: ambush Konoha shinobi out on missions and see if they were actually staffing to those missions correctly. If there was weakness, then the Tsuchikage would strongly consider making war upon the leaf and avenge the humiliation the yellow flash had caused. He sent a Jonin with 3 Chunin as one squad. A second squad would stay back and observe the battle. 2 such groupings would go out and attempt to clash with leaf forces. The unlucky group hit Team 7 on the gem escort mission. As was typical, Naruto had made clones that fanned out around the caravan in all directions. The 4 shinobi spotted the clone and attempted to silently kill it. One Iwa shinobi threw a poison-laced senbon at the clone. The Naruto clone felt it coming and dodged to the side and drew a kunai and threw it at the enemy. Pushing chakra into its feet, the clone charged at the kunoiki who had thrown the senbon. The Chunin Iwa nin fired more senbon only for them to be deflected by another kunai drawn in the clone's hand. The Jonin, a strong earth user, was irritated at his student's failure and flashed through hand seals using Doten, Dosekiru, Earth style, Earth Dragon. The stone dragon rose up from the ground on an interception course. The clone hastily used Kawarimi to avoid the stone dragon, however the Doten user was skilled and the dragon altered course. The clone dodged the jutsu and was nearly impaled by more senbon needles. A hasty futon, repusho, wind release, Gale Palm pushed the senbon needles away but broke the clone's momentum and drained much of its remaining chakra. Crap, the clone said as the earth jutsu smashed into him and popped him. The real Naruto suppressed the urge to blink, a bad habit Kakashi had broken. A shinobi could die in a blink of an eye, and to do it every time a clone dissipates could be fatal. Naruto quickly relayed the information: 2 Iwa shinobi, 1 is a strong earth jutsu, threat level moderate. If anything, it was an overestimation, but it never hurt to be cautious, and it was unknown if there were more threats around. Likely they were given the common practice of 4-man squads. Kakashi considered what would be the best course of action. The mission was important, but paramount was the potential conflict with Iwa. Don't kill them unless necessary. Naruto, pin them down with the clones, I'll take them out. If any circle around to attack you here, deal with them. Naruto made 50 clones and sent 40 of them into the wooden area. The road itself was clear, but on either side thick forest allowed ambushes to come from almost any angle. Kakashi trailed behind the clones. He left a clone behind to watch over his team. The Jonin activated his Sharingan and began moving with exceptional stealth worthy of the elite Jonin that he was. The Naruto clones hit the Iwa shinobi like a wrecking ball. While it only took a decently hard strike to dissipate a clone, the fact was that the clones were fast. Only the Jonin Doton user could match their speed. The Kunoichi with the Senbon was firing them at a rapid pace but had only successfully tagged one. She threw a poisonous smoke bomb that could have been effective if not blown away by a wind jutsu. The other two Chunin also made an appearance. One was another Doton user and the other was a taijutsu specialist. Sadly for the taijutsu specialist, his speed and strength were only equal to a clone and there was an army of clones. The Jonin called a retreat only for Kakashi to rise up out of the ground, aiming a kunai for his throat. The Jonin grasped the wrist before the blade could descend, which was exactly what Kakashi expected. With bone-jarring force, Kakashi's knee came up and slammed into the man's abdomen. Doubled over, the Jonin couldn't stop Kakashi from slamming his elbow into the base of his neck, knocking him out. The taijutsu specialist was clubbed unconscious by a Naruto clone. The Chunin Doton specialist put up a rock wall to help ward off pursuit, but clones simply ran up one side and down the other. The Kunoichi threw the last of her Senbon and threw Makebishi behind her as she ran. The clones easily avoided them. To the two Iwa shinobi it was like a scene from a nightmare. An army of blonde-haired enemies getting past every defense they had, running them to the ground. Soon enough they were surrounded and exhausted. Their only hope was if the observation team intervened. Their shadow team saw that it was Sharingan no Kakashi who was leading the team and decided to avoid confrontation. They longed to be the ones to put down the fourth Hokage's last remaining student. It was a temptation, but they told themselves they had orders and they had to be obeyed. In reality it was due to the very well-reasoned fear in the guts. If they confronted the copycat nin they would lose. The clones overwhelmed the last two Chunin and soon all four of them were in custody. The clones carried the four prisoners back to where the wagons were. The three genin were a bit miffed they didn't get to play a more active role. When Naruto mentioned it, Sakura felt like walloping him on the head. At least you got to do something, we just sat here. Kakashi chuckled, so overeager, we were fighting an unknown number of shinobi, no sense in taking chances. Sasuke and Sakura were not happy, they knew it was the right call, but they each had a strong desire to prove themselves in battle. Kakashi placed chakra seals on the four Iwa shinobi and woke the Jonin up. I'm tempted to kill all four of you and deliver your heads to a Wagaku. The Jonin's eyes widened. But I'm not going to do that. The new Hokage desires peace, so I'll place nice for now. Kakashi narrowed his eyes and raised his killing intent to full throttle. However, if any more Iwa shinobi cross our path, they are dead. Understood. The enemy Jonin hastily nodded his head. Kakashi untied him and waved his hand. Bye now. The Iwa shinobi were shocked. They were being let go. At first they thought it was a trick, some cruel joke being played on them. But as nothing happened as they walked away. Curiosity finally got the best of Kunoichi. Her face was pretty despite the scar running across her forehead. Why? Why would you let us go? Sasuke yawned, because you aren't worth our time. Sakura laughed at Sasuke's taunt, both because she wanted to be on Sasuke's side and also because she knew the confident and arrogant attitude would bolster the perception that Kakashi was pushing. Naruto added, that wasn't nice, Sasuke, they managed to take out 10 of my clones, I only had 40 left. I might have actually had to use the jutsu again if Kakashi-sensei wasn't with us. All four of the Konoha shinobi laughed, causing the Iwa squad to be both furious and embarrassed. None of them were stupid enough to start something and they quickly left the area filled with shame. The Shadow Squad leader sent word back to Iwa. The stories about Kakashi's team were true. The boy, Naruto Uzumaki, would be added to their bingo books at minimum B rank threat, and if his summoning skills could be confirmed, an A rank threat. Kakashi turned to his squad. Well done, however I will caution all of you again about arrogance and pride. They will get you killed even when fighting inferior shinobi. All three responded with, Hi Kakashi-sensei. It was a fine line between confidence and arrogance. He would watch his team to make sure they didn't stray too far from that line. The rest of the mission was uneventful. Upon returning to Konoha, things had settled down some. Kakashi had Naruto make a few clones to work on D-ranked missions while the team did nothing else but train for a solid week. Team 7 trained on the road on occasion but couldn't push themselves and risk the success of their mission. A week on home ground allowed them to cut loose. Naruto mastered a new jutsu. Futon, Shinkugyoku wind release vacuum bullets was a wind jutsu that fired what amounted to a dozen bullets of air. Each bullet could pierce flesh. The jutsu was not designed to pierce strong defenses, however it would be an effective kill move against lightly armored opponents. One weakness was that the user had to breathe in air and manipulate it. The victim did have at least a second or two to find cover or prepare a defense. However, the speed of the air bullets once exhaled traveled much faster than any thrown object. Sakura was absorbed with learning seals. Under careful supervision, she had created her first explosive tag. It was weaker than the standard one, however, once she progressed in her studies, she would be able to make explosive tags with a larger blast radius and a higher temperature. Kakashi and Jiraiya both lectured her extensively, and not being stupid, there would be no practicing explosive seals without supervision. Sakura was itching to experiment but saw the wisdom in waiting. Sasuke focused on his taijutsu and picked up a few more lighting techniques. Of note was Raiten, Shichu Shibari lighting release, 4-pillar bind. This technique pulled 4 pillars from the earth and trapped the victim in a field of lightning. Typically it was not fatal, primarily it was used for capture. Team 7 would use it to set up a kill by trapping the enemy and then finishing him off with an offensive jutsu or Naruto throwing a chakra kunai. In regards to chakra kunai, Jiraiya came through for Naruto. The Jinchuriki was quite happy with his 6 new chakra kunai that were almost identical to the ones he had lost when fighting Manda. Break while Team 7 was completing their B-rank missions, Shizune started volunteering at the hospital. Her presence was greatly appreciated. Having a medical nin who had trained under the legendary Tsunade was a boon to morale. Many civilians and shinobi had been injured during the invasion. Everyone had already been treated, however several were at various states of rehabilitation. Shizune cared for Lady Tsunade greatly, but she missed this. She liked waking up in the morning to the same familiar smiling faces. She loved being able to help her village each day, curing the sick and helping the injured recover. One of the rehabilitation cases was Choji. His leg had to be amputated and he was struggling to get used to the prosthetic. The biggest concern was being able to travel swiftly. He couldn't push chakra into the prosthetic to help him travel, meaning unless he wanted to try doing it one-legged, it was impossible to keep up in tree jumping. Shizune had an idea that may be able to help him, however it was beyond her skill. Seeing Choji work hard every day motivated her. The fact that his team had kept him on the roster despite his injuries was a testament to how much they cared for him. They had only been doing D ranks since he had been injured. Shizune approached Tsunade about the issue. Lady Tsunade, you've been cooped up drinking the entire time we've been here. Tsunade gave her an aggravated look. If there were any casinos in this village, I'd have somewhere to go. Shizune gave a frustrated sigh and put her hands on her hips. Tsunade, there are people who need your help. I know one boy who would give almost anything to have his leg back. I know you've studied a technique that can help him. Please, Lady Tsunade, you know you owe Team 7 for saving your life. This boy is a friend of theirs, come see him at least. Tsunade slammed her fist on the table. And then what? I heal one boy and then 100 others will come. Before you know it, I'll be chained to this village. I've agreed to stay for your sake, but I don't plan on staying forever. The answer is no. Shizune turned and walked out of the door. She would get Tsunade to help. She wasn't going to give up. Break it had been 2 days since Shizune had asked her to help the genin. Tsunade continued to drink her sake and ignore the village. Every day was a painful reminder of what she had lost. Within the confines of the temporary home, she could forget exactly where she was. She would imagine it was just another hotel room. Just another village that she was passing through. A knock sounded at the door. Tsunade grumbled and stood up, only slightly woozy despite the copious amount of alcohol she had consumed. She opened the door and saw the large bulky frame of Choza Akamaiki. He was the father of Choji and had come personally to beg for assistance. He bowed his head low. Tsunade-sama, your assistant Shizune told me you might have the ability to heal my son. Tsunade twitched with rage, not at Choza but at Shizune. How dare she do this to me? Tsunade shook her head forcefully. I'm not here to heal anyone. Sorry. She moved to close the door, but Choza pushed his hand in the way. Tsunade could have forced the door close, but it would have crushed Choza's hand. Please, it is what my son has ever wanted. I can pay, ask what you want and I will do it. Tsunade growled, what he always wanted. To be a shinobi. To die in battle before his time. Maybe this is a wake-up call for him. Let him be happy doing something that won't get him killed. The Akamaiki clan head frowned. His dream is to protect his friends. Shikamaru and Ino are his teammates. He wants to be there to protect them. Tsunade swallowed thickly. She had dreamed many times of being there to save her brother. She had dreamed of the chance to heal Dan before he died of his wounds. Those dreams haunted her nights and her days. A sharp knife of sorrow twisted in her heart. She turned away and in a soft voice said, "My dreams have never come true, but I will try to fulfill your sons. Take me to him and I'll see what I can do." Choza thanked her profusely and led her to Choji. Team 8 had taken to Kakashi's training well. It turned out that Kiba was a Doton Earth user and had found several ways to use his jutsu to augment his taijutsu skills. Shino took to learning medical jutsu with methodical efficiency. The workmanlike attitude Shino displayed impressed Kakashi. Shino was able to manifest chakra scalpels when needed and learned how to repair lacerations and puncture wounds. With Hinata he had helped only slightly with her taijutsu. Primarily it was her confidence that he had helped most in. Kakashi used a henge to appear like Hiashi and fought with her. Then he would appear like Naruto. Each time she lost her composure he would stop and ask pointed questions about what she was feeling. Hinata hated it when she asked questions about why she blushed when seeing Naruto. Hinata was so embarrassed she forced herself not to reveal what she was feeling with her body when they sparred so she would not have to keep answering his questions. She kept her concentration up and focused only on the fight. Soon she was fighting Kakashi as Naruto and then as Hiashi without even blinking. The first time she did this Kakashi congratulated her. "Finally you have become a shinobi." Hinata looked up at Kakashi. "What do you mean, Kakashi-sensei? I was already a shinobi." Kakashi gave her an eye smile. "You have mastered your own body. A shinobi is a master of deception. You control your chakra well. You control your body well in battle. You should also control your heart rate, your breathing and your voice. Social situations are simply another battlefield. As a shinobi you must be able to lie, deceive and manipulate. As a kunoichi you may even be called to use your femininity as a weapon." Hinata almost blushed but forced the heat from her cheeks. She was a shinobi. She was a ninja. She would stop acting like a civilian girl. Since those training sessions with Kakashi her confidence grew. By projecting confidence she became confident. While Team 7 had gone out on B-ranked mission after B-ranked mission, Team 8 stuck with the C-ranked missions. That however did not stop the Iwa shinobi from attacking them. The Tsuchikage had sent 2 separate groups out to test Konoha's abilities. The first had run afoul with Team 7, the second fought Kurenai's Genin team. That will be it for this video. If you want more, comment down below, like, subscribe. And see you guys later.